The essence of government and having different arms of government is to allow those who have capacity to do those things to do them.
There are still lapses, mechanization for instance. But the answer is not just to buy tractors. The answer is even to train how to run a tractor.
You find that people who are hanging around, who will welcome applicants, interview them, promise them they will quickly deliver it, we have removed them.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Koiki. I'm live at the poultry right now, where we get our fresh eggs. Okay, sorry about that. As you can see, yeah, we are in Mock 7987 farms, and this is our fresh eggs. You can see live eggs coming straight from the farm. We are right here in Ijebu Ayekwe, and this is like a cell. My name is Koiki. Anywhere from 200 is free delivery within Lagos, and at any time you can always get in touch with me on 070-1977-1488. I bring straight farm eggs, fresh. You can see. Yeah, that's my partner Lanre, and that's my second partner, that's Tony. We are live to you from our farm right now, and we are live from Ijebu Ode. We'll be bringing some eggs to Lagos for Lagos people. I have some delivery in Surulere, kilo precisely. Kilo will be in your zone in another 4 hours. We are picking our eggs right now. So, Allah, your boy. Thank you, viewers, and thank you for following me and watching me on Facebook. Yeah, we all love you. Bye.
Law of the fact that the Supreme Court has now decided the matter in favor of Senator McAfee. So we're aware of that situation, and we will comply with the order of the Supreme Court. So what we're recognizing is clear in that McAfee is now the national chairman of the PDP. Riverine areas, the supply of materials, sensitive and non-sensitive, we don't regard as a problem. Again, like I told the Commissioner of Police, whenever I see him beside me, I feel very safe. The riverine, the military police, or what they call the marine police, have been in touch with us through the Commissioner of Police directly, and we have made adequate arrangements with them. The boats have been deployed. The police, the marine police, and the Navy, they're supervising all this, ensuring that the boats are safe, that there are life jackets there, and of course they will have police personnel and Navy personnel to guide them through the riverine areas, just in case there's any incidents of any of the militants that might want to rear their heads. So we can assure you here that all the sensitive and non-sensitive materials will go to all the areas, the polling units in the riverine areas safely. The ESC, the situation room that's been set up here is separate from the interagency security room being operated by the police, the Navy, the Army, the Air Force.
That's retired Justice Ayo Phillips, the chairman of last year Lagos State Independent Electoral Commissioner, talking about the preparations of the commission for tomorrow's local council elections in Lagos. Are you impressed about what she has said so far? Don't forget, one of the information is that similar modalities used by INEC is what is going to be used for this election. Some of the delineated areas for election is what is going to be used, and also it's going to be a collapsed process. Accreditation and voting will go on simultaneously. Let me come back to my guest now, Dr. Akeode Afolabi. As it stands now, are you impressed with the preparations from what you have heard so far from the LASEC chairman, from what you have heard from the Commissioner of Police? Are you impressed?
Well, I'm not so impressed, and I need to say, one, for people are not even very aware of the process that will take place tomorrow. Would have expected that last year could have done more in terms of voter education, so that people are aware of the processes that the election will take. I don't think they have done enough. We should have been hearing jingles and a whole lot of things, but it looks like they were actually very busy with other things, you know, during the week or even the week before now. And secondly, yes, the police had just said that they have about 30,000 police. The Transition Monitoring Group is very cautious about encouraging a lot of militarization or putting police, you know, over policing, you know, in election.
30,000 police for Lagos election. You think it's too much?
And yes, it's a huge number because
for Lagos, the nation's the commercial hub.
I was in Edo and I was in Ondo. They had about 11,000, 13,000. I think 30,000 is huge. We don't want to have people also being intimidated by police presence and what have you, while the security situation might allow for it. But the point is that we also need to put the issue straight. We got to this level where probably police need to bring that 30,000 because of what the political parties have done. 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, they were supposed to have had their primaries. You knew what happened with the APC primaries. You knew what is happening between the PDP, how people are moving from Accord to Labour Party, and what have you. So as at about 2 weeks before the election, people are not even determined on who is going to do what. So there are issues of internal party democracy. And I kept saying, we can't focus on ensuring that we have independent National Electoral Commission, independent autonomous. And we don't have the last year autonomous. It must be the same thing. As you said, the local government election is quite important to all of us. You know, it's important to Nigerians. So we should also beam our searchlight on what is happening at that level, at last year. Look at National Conscience Party. National Conscience Party is saying that they submitted 77 names, and the 77 names were not accepted because they didn't have money to pay for. These are, ordinarily, you wouldn't expect that last year would come with a new condition, asking people to pay, asking chairmanship candidates to pay about 50,000 naira. You know, some parties cannot afford it. So we should have a level playing field. So I think that there are a lot of things that brings a lot of suspects around this.
Were you in Ghana for the Ghana's presidential election?
I was not in Ghana, but I was in other places. And I know that, for example, we can't keep saying that Nigeria is not developed. Nigeria is developed to the extent that what we have is the kind of leadership that we have and the kind of politics that we play. Look at one of the members of the political parties talking about internal party democracy. Look at what happened in the Teslim Balogun. You wouldn't expect that from a party that is having a national outlook for the country. I think it's a big shame for APC to do what they have done. And you can see the manifestation of that. You can see what is happening after. Look at what happened in Olowo. I learned one person died. Look at the kind of violence that they are fomenting around. So I think that there's a need for us to begin to focus on political parties. So that
Commissioner of Police, don't you think that this election is over-policed? 30,000 or more, and is not, for what I know, is not the number of police on the ground that will curb crime.
When you talk of the number, you have to remember that we're not talking of policemen that will be deployed at the polling units. Okay. Escort of materials is involved in this. And Lagos may look small on the map. Lagos is big. You have 57 local government plus the LCDs. So we need security to escort materials from the LASIEC headquarters to the different local governments. So when you put all this together, plus the security that will be at the different hotspots, and Lagos has been judged a mega city. Mega city has mega issues and mega problems.
Are you concerned that
you also have to deploy megally?
Are you concerned that the nation's commercial economic center is going to be shut down for over 8 hours?
If it becomes necessary for ease.
You think we cannot do election without having restriction of movement?
Maybe we'll get there sometime.
For assistance right now?
One, for ease of the movement of materials, for ease of operations of the security agencies, you would need that. Even without the election, you know the way Lagos roads are, the traffic This is raining period and everything. So if you need to move materials from one place to the other, you can imagine the number of hours that would be spent on the road. If you are going to respond to any distress call, the time that will be wasted. And for that short period, if it becomes necessary,
not the short period, Commissioner of Police, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to 3 p.m. That means that if you're coming into Lagos, you'll be stopped at Bega.
Have you also forgotten that tomorrow is Saturday? It's supposed to be a work-free day. That is number one.
Lagos, Lagos, there's no work-free day in Lagos.
Yes.
In the sense that economy, there's no, except for banks and some other blue chip companies.
It becomes necessary for us to be secured, for us to have a peaceful process. Sometimes we get there, but for this process, it has become expedient and necessary that we should do that.
Even the chairman of LASEC was more confident seeing the police around him. So apparently, I think there is fear everywhere. So maybe that could be a justification for my...
Let me quickly go to Ezenwa Nwagu. We saw and we heard that the Lagos State House of Assembly amended or touched up on the LASEC Act in the week of the election. Are you impressed by that?
Sean, how can I be impressed by that? The ferocity of that amendment, or touching up, as you called it, raises very serious suspicion. And I think that, like we've heard, it has a lot of black tar on the quality, the integrity of the election process. My expectation really was that Lagos was going to do something different, as I said earlier. Local government elections in Nigeria, across board, has been reasons for why a lot of people have been calling for the scrapping of SEC. I thought that we would see a more robust, a more transparent, a more independent SEC in Lagos, but that doesn't look like it's going to come true. And apart from that, I also wish the police commissioner a lot of good fortune. The reason is that I think civil society will need to be interrogating the numbers that are bandied when it comes to the number of police that are deployed. And incidentally, Biola, that is sitting very close to him, knows that once you get out of the city centers, you hardly will find these numbers. They are not there. And it has something to do with the political economy of that deployment. The next thing we need to be very bothered about for these people to perform optimally would also be how much of their welfare interests have been taken care of. It's very important. What we have seen in other elections will be semi-beggarly policemen who will tell you that their allowances have not been paid, and because of that, they will have to depend on even the communities and the political actors they are meant to watch out for. So, and I also worry about this whole hotspot thing. I think that we need to appreciate the fact that we're dealing with a sociological situation. That means that there's a fluidity in terms of the place that you have branded hotspot may eventually not be hotspot. So we must focus attention on everywhere and ensure that citizens are safe. But beyond all of that, the integrity of the electoral management process in the state will determine whether we can eventually begin to canvass for the need to engage the SEC in conducting elections. Get back to Kebbi, go back to Sokoto. The ruling party in the state takes everything. They are not even charitable enough to give 1% to the opposition in their allocations.
Okay.
I hope we don't see that tomorrow in Lagos, because Lagos is virtually sitting on a keg of gunpowder in terms of the actors.
Okay.
You can see how rancorous the primaries were. You can see how tensed the whole of the environment has become. The police and the security agencies need to up their game much more than capturing the imagination of people, which we always... This is a ritualistic activity. At every dawn of an election, you get to see everybody, the electoral management body.
Let me allow
how prepared, how adequately.
Let me allow Samson Itodo to weigh in on this one. We saw the amendment of the last year act in the week of the election. A whole lot of things that we've seen. We've seen a lot of court cases bandied left, right, and center. As it stands right now, Lagos, does it give you a sense of an example for other states as it stands an example economically to other states in terms of election?
Sheung, this is the most criminal and the most disingenuous thing that a state house of assembly that ought to protect constitutional democracy will engage in. How can you amend an electoral law in the week of an election when you are not in a national or in a state election emergency? It puts a lot of questions. The African Charter on Democracy, Election and Good Governance, as well as the Venice Commission in the Europe, are very, very clear. And the provisions are clear that you don't amend an electoral law 6 months to the election. This is not 6 months. This is not 3 months. In a week. And look at the quality of the appointment that was made. It's just simply to serve the interest of the ruling political elite. And this is not a model that any state should adopt. And the action taken by the State House of Assembly justifies the amendment made by the Senate to the Electoral Act. And where they made amendments, they proposed amendments to the Electoral Act in the way that it also caters for local government elections, because our state legislatures, as well as even the Electoral Commission, are under the overbearing influence of the state governors. And this is not the kind of restructuring that Nigerians actually demand or the kind of devolution of power that we want, but the devolution of power that empowers the legislature, that makes laws for the common good of the people. But what the State House of Assembly has done is not only criminal, but it is disingenuous, and it's a great disservice, not just to Lagos State, but to Nigeria.
Samson, we'll go for another break. It brings us to the issue of local government autonomy. I'll be rounding up our thoughts here on the program on the issue of local council election in Lagos. Stay with us, everyone.
The NEC in section commended the effort of the federal government to reduce the pains of Nigerians at this critical period of economic recession, particularly the release of the second tranche of the Paris Club refund. The meeting re-echoed the demand for local government full autonomy in all the states of the Federation. It commended the few states that granted autonomy to their local government councils. You see, for people to feel the impact of government more, full autonomy must be granted to the local government. If we have full autonomy, the question of these salaries will no longer be there. If we have full autonomy, and don't forget one thing, it is very important. Finance is the problem. Finance is the problem. If we have full autonomy and the necessary money that's supposed to come from the federal government does not come, it will still be the same problem. But if we have enough money with whatever we can generate at the local government level, there won't be problem. And you can see that things will be going on fine.
Every day we bring you the news and discuss the issues in the news. But now we're taking it one step further by bringing you the people behind the news. Watch Hard Copy only on Channels Television, your home for the news.
The Channels 24 app means you'll always be in touch with the news. Get the latest local and international stories on the go. And there's our social media platforms for news from around the world. Watch the news live and play videos that matter to you. You can also check the eyewitness section to report events around you. Just click on the eyewitness icon and follow the instructions to upload your content. Channels 24 app, the news at your fingertips.
Coming to Lagos tomorrow morning. This is an information very important for you. You may not be able to move between the hours of 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. That is because there is a restriction of movement because of the local government country elections that will hold tomorrow, the 22nd day of July 2017. It's very crucial because Lagos is the commercial hub of the nation. Just how important this is makes us talk about this issue on the program. Is an extended version of the show tonight on the program. I will bring you all the coverage of that election from every angle of the state tomorrow right here on Channels Television, and we'll open our election studio also for you to get a sense of what happened later in the evening tomorrow. So stay with Channels Television to get every details of it. It brings us to the issue of just how independent the third tier of government in Nigeria, the government that should be the closest to the people. So you know, Lagos State has 20 local government areas and 37 local development areas. The 37 were created under Bola Tinubu when he was governor. That caused a lot of legal tussles. Nigeria has 774 local government areas, and each local government area is administered by a local government council consisting of a chairman who is the chief executive of the local government area. LASIEC fixes July 22nd for the council polls and July 29th for a possible runoff if need be. But let's get back to the conversation now. How independent are the local government areas in Nigeria? There's been a debate whether or not there should be full autonomy to the local government. Now there is the Paris Club reform going around. What do you make of the way and manner the local governments are being run? Governor Ambode in Lagos has asked that the constitution be amended in such a way that the states should be allowed to administer the local government area. What are your take on it?
Well. I think one of the challenges we're having, especially, it's even good that it's coming at a time when we're discussing about restructuring. We should not compromise the autonomy of the local government. The reason why we have been having all the problems, the question of joint accounts, and why the state itself is virtually interested in whatever happens at the local government is because the local government remains an appendage of the state. If we want to move forward, looking at the strategic position which the local government is, being the closest to the people, the local government must be autonomous. And if you see the discussion that is going on around with respect to the Constitution, this has been very clear. In the National Political Conference report of 2014 proposed autonomy of the local government. And all of that, even the current discussion, by the Senate and the House of Rep, is leading towards the need to have that autonomy of the local government. I think that will help us so that people don't have to go to the state, or the state don't have to have that kind of control. And that is why you see this contestation very high, because they know that it's about same between the local government and the state. So I think that the autonomy is something that we should not compromise as a country, and it's an issue of constitutional reform which we should push for so as to liberate the local government from the states.
All right. If I go to Mr. Ezenwa-Nwagwu, ED Partners for Electoral Reforms in our Abuja studio, just in about a minute or so, because we need to round up our thoughts on the program. Do you think that the manner in which local governments are being run is adequate or is appropriate? If not, what is the best way you think the local government areas should be handled? Just if you round up your submission tonight on the program.
The leadership recruitment process at the local government level is dictated by the folks that we want them to take their hands off the local government. You cannot be a councillor in any political party where a councillor in a local government, if the czars of the states that the governors have become do not guarantee you that platform. So until we take away that stranglehold from the governors, until we demobilize them and make local governments truly democratic, where people can aspire to run to be councillors. If you look at what happened in the APC primaries and the reason for which the State House of Assembly did that infamous amendment that they did, you will find out that it has to do with ensuring that it is those that the ruling party wants that eventually becomes the candidates. So essentially, except you truly democratize the local governments, whether autonomy what annoys me is the hypocrisy that dogs this conversation. The chap who has been governor, who comes back to Senate, is now talking about local government autonomy. While he was governor, he didn't do anything to ensure that even his own state had elections. Many of them who are today in Senate had caretakers throughout their tenures as governors. So it is a citizen action that will demand for autonomy within the local government, understanding its essence, its relevance for the life of the people.
Okay. Mr. Sampson Itodo, with about 30 seconds to give us your submission, is the local government and the issue of hashtag not too young to run, what are your fears about participation in local government politics?
I thought the ongoing constitutional review process that citizens mobilize actively to get in and not too young to run. Because when you entrench local government independence or autonomy within the constitution, you will have young people participate at the local level. And that's why the National Assembly votes next week on the constitutional amendments. And as citizens, we are going to march to the National Assembly on Tuesday to demand that the will of the people be respected as they vote. They need to vote based on good conscience, justice, and equity. And so citizens should march to the National Assembly on Tuesday from the Unity Fountain to the National Assembly, Tuesday, 25th of July, and hold their elected representatives accountable.
Right.
Let's go and demand the Constitution.
We're having some bad connection there. Let's come to Lagos now. As we round up this conversation, Commissioner of Police, tomorrow is few hours from now. Any untidied end that you think is you're afraid of?
Not at all. No. As we all know, even the laws cannot be 100% adequate. There have been inadequacies. And the advice that we give is that, knowing fully well that there will be inadequacies, violence is not the solution to those inadequacies.
You have any number to call?
We have the Joint Operations Room, which anybody can reach on 0806 329 9264. I'll repeat, 0806 329 9264.
No short code. I mean, those long numbers, I mean, no 911.
That is in addition to the emergency numbers. And of course, they can still take the opportunity of the Smart Police application of the Lagos State Police. They should just go to their telephone, go to Google Play Store and download Smart Police.
All right.
Anything can be reported through that.
Mr. Fatai Osheni, Commissioner of Police in Lagos, many thanks for coming on the program. Dr. Abiola Akiode Afolabi, Chairman, Transition Monitoring Group, thank you so much for coming on the program. And Executive Director of Partners for Electoral Reforms, Mr. Ezenwa Nwagu, and also the ED of Yiaga, Samson Itodo. Many thanks, gentlemen and lady, for coming on the program, everyone. Many thanks. Stay with Channels Television. We'll bring you all the coverage and the special election studio for this election tomorrow evening. Thanks so much for being part of it. I'm Sean Kimbale. Bye for now.
Okay, sorry about that. As you can see, yeah, we are in Mock 7987 farms, and this is our fresh eggs. You can see live eggs coming straight from the farm. We are right here in Ijebu Ayekwe, and this is what I sell. My name is Koiki. Any order from 200 is free delivery within Lagos, and at any time you can always get in touch with me on 070-1977-1488. I bring straight farm eggs, fresh. You can see. Yeah, that's my partner, Olayomi, and that's my second partner, that's Tony. We are live to you from our farm right now, and we are live from Ijebu Ode. We'll be bringing some eggs to Lagos. For Lagos people, I have some delivery in Surulere, kilo precisely. Kilo will be in your zone in another 4 hours. We are picking our eggs right now. So, Allah at your boy. Thank you, viewers, and thank you for following me and watching me on Facebook. Yeah, we all love you. Bye. Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Koiki, and we're live at the poultry right now, where we get our fresh eggs. Okay, sorry about that. As you can see, yeah, we are in Mock 7987 farms, and this is our fresh eggs. You can see live eggs coming straight from the farm. We are right here in Ijebu Ayekwe, and this is what I sell. My name is Koiki. Any order from 200 is free delivery within Lagos, and at any time you can always get in touch with me on 070-1977-1488. I bring straight farm eggs, fresh. You can see. Yeah, that's my partner, Olayomi, and that's my second partner, that's Tony. We are live to you from a farm right now, and we are live from Ijebu Ode. We'll be bringing some eggs to Lagos. For Lagos people, I have some delivery in Surulere, kilo precisely. Kilo will be in your zone in another 4 hours. We are picking our eggs right now. So, Allah at your boy. Thank you, viewers, and thank you for following me and watching me on Facebook. Yeah, we all love you. Bye. Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Koiki, and we're live at the poultry right now, where we get our fresh eggs. Okay, sorry about that. As you can see, yeah, we are in Mock 7987 farms, and this is our fresh eggs. You can see live eggs coming straight from the farm. We are right here in Ijebu Ayekwe, and this is what I sell. My name is Koiki. Any order from 200 is free delivery within Lagos. Okay. And at any time, you can always get in touch with me on 070.
Several boards of inquiry into the bombing of an internally displaced persons camp in Ran, Borno State. The Defense Headquarters has come out to say that the attack was an accident. The Director of Defense Information, Major General John Eneche, at a news conference today, says the accident happened as a result of inappropriate marking of the areas close to the location of the IDP camp. He says efforts are ongoing to avert a recurrence, and the fighter jet belonging to the Nigerian Air Force was on a mission to combat Boko Haram terrorists when it opened fire on displaced persons in the camp.
The main reason that caused the unfortunate airstrike near the IDP camp at Ran was lack of appropriate marking of the area near the camp where the IDPs were struck. Now, recommendations. From all the various boards put together, the following were recommended, particularly in order to avert future occurrences. 1. All locations where humanitarian activities take place in the theater of operation in the Northeast should be marked appropriately for ground and area identification in line with international best practices. 2. The geographical and spatial coordinates of all areas of humanitarian activities within the theater should be provided to the theater command headquarters. And the third one and the last one is, there should be timely and mandatory exchange of information between all stakeholders for all activities in the theater of operation.
In the meantime, the Nigerian military's joint task force Operation Delta Safe has foiled an attack by men suspected to be Niger Delta militants. The deputy commander of the JTF, Brigadier General Kelvin Aligbe, says his men engaged the suspected militants in a gun battle in which a civilian member of the JTF crew was killed alongside the suspects. He explained that 4 soldiers who sustained injuries in the attack are currently receiving medical attention in Port Harcourt.
In order to arrest the perpetrators of this heinous crime, troops are trailing the criminals who fled into some communities after the crime. It is important to state that the communities must not condone or harbor these criminals. Therefore, they are kindly obliged to reveal the identities of these criminals as they will be smoked out from their hideouts for them to face justice. The bandits were repelled by gallant troops and they suffered heavy casualties, while a few of them ran into the adjoining creek. Effort is still ongoing to fish them out and ascertain the actual number of the criminals killed during the duel. Unfortunately, 4 soldiers were injured, while 1 civilian worker on the houseboat died from gunshots wounds. Let me reiterate that this operation will do everything within the law to crack down on these criminals and their sponsors wherever they may be.
In other security matters, the anti-kidnapping unit of the Enugu State Police Command has arrested 3 secondary school students for allegedly faking their own kidnap. According to a statement from the state's police public relations officer, Ebere Amazuru, the boys, who were said to have been kidnapped by unknown gunmen on July the 14th, were nabbed by the operatives at their hideout in Enugu. Since their disappearance, the boys have been demanding the sum of 500,000 naira as ransom from their parents. SP Amarizu said the suspects are helping the police operatives in their investigations and will face the law if found guilty. Now, local government workers and pensioners across the country are reacting to the disbursement of the Paris Club funds from the federal government. In Kwara and Ekiti State, they pointed out that the sum is inadequate. Also, pensioners in Ekiti State called for judicious use of the funds.
The federal government recently released the second tranche of the Paris Club funds, and the Kwara state government, of the 5 billion naira received, offered 1 billion naira to workers of the local governments to offset part of their salary arrears, which ranges from 4 to 9 months. This sum, according to various unions, which include medical workers and local government employees, is inadequate.
We understood that 75% of this money should be made to pay the arrears of workers at the local governments as they are for their salaries.
Reacting, the state government, through the senior special assistant on media to the governor, explained that it will take about 15 billion naira actually to settle the arrears, and pleaded with them to be patient.
His Excellency Governor Fattah Ahmed will meet with all stakeholders, NUT, NOLGE, the tertiary institutions, NLC, JNC, and stakeholder leaders of thought in the state, and table to them, of this 5.1 billion, this is the amount that we want to use to pay salaries and pensions. How do we share it?
And in Ekiti State, the Nigeria Union of Pensioners, Ekiti State Council, has advised Governor Ayo Fayose to make judicious use of the released Paris Club funds.
We call on Ekiti State government to use the bulk of this and subsequent windfalls from the federal government to augment the already accumulated savings for gratuity payments to start reducing the outstanding arrears of gratuities which have accumulated from July 12 up to date.
They also commended the federal government for directing the 36 states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, to use at least 75% of the refund to pay the arrears of workers' salaries and the pensioners' benefits.
To politics now. For the first time in about 5 years, the people of Lagos State will have the opportunity to elect their leaders at the grassroots in an open election slated for Saturday, July the 22nd. The local government election is expected to usher in new chairmen and councillors in the 20 local government and 37 local council development areas across the state. The Lagos State Electoral Body has announced that voting will open at 8 a.m. as voters will be able to vote using the existing INEC register used in the national elections. The Lagos State government has also announced that movement will be restricted for residents of the state between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. to allow for a smooth conduct of the election.
What we're recognizing is clear in that McAfee is now the national chairman of the PDP. Riverine areas, the supply of materials, sensitive and non-sensitive, we don't regard as a problem. Again, like I told the Commissioner of Police, whenever I see him beside me, I feel very safe. The riverine, the military police, or what they call the marine police, have been in touch with us through the Commissioner of Police directly, and we have made adequate arrangements with them. The boats have been deployed. The police, the marine police, and the Navy, they're supervising all this, ensuring that the boats are safe, that there are life jackets there, and of course they will have police personnel and Navy personnel to guide them through the riverine areas.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State Police Command has warned politicians and electoral officials to shun violence or any criminal activity ahead of the elections. The Commissioner of Police, Fatai Owushene, says the security agencies are ready to ensure that people vote without any fear or intimidation. He told officials of the State Independent Electoral Commission to resist any temptation from politicians that could mar the process.
Even if the political gladiators deliberately incite violence, there is no way that we will not say, it is the police though. That has been our home body. But SARS and MAS, we want to tell you that the Lagos State Police Command is ready. We have prepared adequately for this election to ensure that the election is hitch-free, to ensure that the Nigeria police and sister security agencies give 100% support to the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission to have free, fair, and violence-free, as well as credible election.
Our devastation caused by erosion in Anambra State is an issue of concern. I will tell you more when we come back.
Do you want to earn from price fluctuations? Look at oil, for example. Today, prices are up. Tomorrow, they are down. Learn how to trade with Alpari and let your money work for you. Find out how at alpari.com.
We follow the story because we know that an issue is more than a headline. It shows where it all started and where we might be heading, how it all fits together, and why it all comes apart. We follow the story because the need to know never changes. We don't have all the answers, but keeping our eyes open keeps our minds open. We follow the story because we are part of the story.
Welcome back to News Track. For more on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. And do log on to m.channelstv.com to watch us on your mobile device or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows devices from their respective stores. The Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have access to the Eyewitness feature, with which you can share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu and follow the instructions. The federal government has been asked to declare a state of emergency on erosion in Anambra State as the devastation there is becoming worrisome. Governor Willie Obiano made the call while inspecting ongoing reclamation work in Obusi, Idemili North local government area, where the effects of erosion has left many residents homeless.
With about 900 erosion sites scattered around Anambra State, the state governor appears to be taking the bull by the horn to ensure that the reclamation program does not fail. That's what has drawn him to inspect the reclamation of portions of land not yet washed away at the erosion site at Odume Layout in Obusi, Idemili North local government area of the state. This is what the persistent heavy rains in July has left in its wake. First, a two-story building completely swallowed and the major road cut in two and leaving other houses at risk. The Obusi site is among the 12 new sites where the World Bank is intervening. But the state government says local intervention measures is necessary to salvage the situation.
We are the smallest because while Lagos is growing into the Atlantic Ocean, Anambra is shrinking from erosion. I've asked the federal government to declare state of emergency on erosion on Anambra so that they can vote money for us to do this work. The erosion money is not easy to come by because it's expensive. However, on our own, we've been able to work with United Nations to get 12 new more sites that work will be done. And this site is one of them. But because of the urgency, I have to intervene very urgently.
The traditional ruler of Oboso Kingdom and the transition chairman for Idemili North local government area are pleased with the timely intervention.
We have you, and we know by the time you complete another 4 years, Anambra State will be another London. What you have done so far has shown that you have so much for the people of Anambra and people of Idemili North. We are particularly very happy and wish to say, continue your good work.
The inspection train also toured Onitsha to inspect the 1.2-kilometer Oseokodo Market Road, which is nearing completion.
Public schools in Rivers State appear set to get a facelift as the state government begins the reconstruction of the schools with the counter-funding arrangement of the universal basic education put in place by the federal government. This comes as the state governor Nyesom Wike flagged off the reconstruction of 175 schools in the state, most of which have been in deplorable condition. Our correspondent Emmanuel Irei reports.
State School Rebesi, located in Maltu, Port Harcourt, the River State capital, is a shadow of itself. With dilapidated buildings, deserted classrooms, broken roofs, leaving some areas partly flooded. The deplorable condition of the school makes one wonder how pupils are able to learn here. Sitting behind the popular Ikoku spare parts market, its location appears to make a bad situation worse, as it has become a den of criminals. According to Executive Chairman of the Universal Basic Education Board, all that is about to change.
We have over 70% of these schools in crass, dilapidated conditions. And so here the governor comes on board to say, I do not want to build new schools. Let us fix the old schools. And you can see the state of these schools. And it's like this, and even in worse conditions across River State than the rural areas.
Then under the morning rain, the state governor and his team arrived for the official flag-off of the reconstruction of the school and 174 others across the state.
When we came on board, we saw that the state had not accessed our grant from the Universal Basic Education Authority. And so I directed the chairman to see that we pay our own counterpart funds to be able to assess that of the federal government. And I said, you must go to all the local governments, identify those schools that are in very bad condition. Those who renovate will renovate. Those who reconstruct will reconstruct, and then provide them with desks for children to use.
The governor also leaves a word for those who use the premises for criminal activities.
Now we have taken over our property. Don't enter here again. This is a place where children will use for learning.
As the state governor symbolically hits the wooden windows as a mark of the work to be done, with a promise to fence off the spare part market, many expect to see these public schools become more conducive for learning in the coming months. Emmanuel Ire, Channels Television News.
All right, now let's take a look at some business news. As quoted companies begin to file their latest earnings, the stock market enters its 12th grade streak owing to strong rally from bellwethers in the industrial and banking sectors. At the same time, the NSE's main index crossed back and above the 34,000 level by nearly 1%, while the market cap increased by over 11 billion naira to 11.725 trillion naira. Compared with Thursday's trading, Friday's transaction turnover was higher by more than half in 4,516 deals for 5.11 billion naira. Access contributed over 115 million shares to emerge in the lead as the most traded stock for the day. Lafarge, Skybank and Vitafoam were the top gainers out of 25, while Burger Paints and Nigeria Police Microfinance Bank had 14 other losers. Experts are discussing key challenges of planning, design and funding facing Africa's infrastructure development. Ahead of a summit in Lagos next week, a development expert, Mr. Bankole Oniola, says a deal room of pipeline projects worth several billions of dollars are now opened to support projects that are bankable, return-oriented and socially beneficial. Mr. Oniola was speaking on Channels Television's Business Morning today.
US dollar worth of transactions coming into our deal room. So, and this is for the European and American investors who are always saying, oh, we don't think deals are coming out of Nigeria. We are saying we have 2.3 billion US dollars worth of deals coming into the deal room, and it cuts across different sectors from transportation to energy, from energy to some kind of fast-moving consumer goods. So we have all kinds of projects and transactions coming into the deal room. And that also speaks to our government or the policymakers to say, okay, from the public authority side, probably we have less than 20% of transactions that makes enough sense to get into the deal room. So majority of the transactions coming into the deal room this year is basically private sector driven transactions. The next step for us is to be able to tell the policymakers that our collaborative working going forward can increase the deal pipeline. And once the deal pipeline is increased, you can begin to attract more revenue for some of these big projects.
Now, 2 people killed on a Greek island following a 6.7 magnitude earthquake. We'll tell you more in a few minutes.
Day and night, we are on the road, following all the stories. And it takes a lot to earn your trust, to give you the coverage of always trusted. Because no one has more experience to tell your story, to keep you informed. News at 10.
The Channels 24 app means you'll always be in touch with the news. Get the latest local and international stories on the go. And there's our social media platforms for news from around the world. Watch the news live and play videos that matter to you. You can also check the Eyewitness section to report events around you. Just click on the Eyewitness icon and follow the instructions to upload your content. Channels 24 app, the news at your fingertips.
Welcome back. Global Witness, a campaign group in the Democratic Republic of Congo, says the country is losing as much as $750 million of mining revenue. In a report released by the group, the money is being distributed through corrupt networks linked to President Joseph Kabila. The country is Africa's biggest producer of copper and the world's largest supplier of cobalt used in batteries for electric cars. It's also rich in gold and diamonds, but its people are still among the poorest in the world as a result of years of conflict and mismanagement of resources. The report also says much of the mining revenue goes missing after being paid into the state-owned mining company. The company has denied the allegations of corruption, insisting it's transparent. And 2 people have been killed on the Greek island of Kos after a 6.7 magnitude earthquake struck the sea. Authorities say at least 115 people on the tourist island were injured, 12 of them seriously and some buildings badly damaged. The quake also affected nearby Turkey, where the health minister confirmed 358 people were hurt in the city, though not seriously. At least 40 aftershocks were felt in both countries in the aftermath of the quake, some up to 4.6 magnitude. Let's take a look at some sports now. The Minister of Youth and Sport, Solomon Dalong, has charged the newly inaugurated boards of sports federations to be transparent in their administration of the federations. Mr. Dalong encouraged the federations to become autonomous in order to accelerate sports development in Nigeria. 29 out of the 31 sports federations were inaugurated in Abuja today.
We have inaugurated 29 federations. Two of the federations had inconclusive elections. By the ample grace of God, we will conclude and inaugurate them. I feel satisfied and fulfilled that our effort to democratize the federation had yielded positive results. Even though there were challenges, but the percentage of the challenges compared to the success is negligible.
And the league management company has suspended Rangers general manager and former Super Eagles coach Christian Chukwu from all Nigerian Professional Football League activities. Chukwu's suspension is in connection with the recent arrest of former Rangers coach Imama Amakakpabo, facilitated by the club over a pay dispute. Rangers had Amakakpabo arrested for allegedly keeping his official car after he had been sacked. The LMC says the matter has been referred to the Nigeria Football Federation Ethics Committee for further sanctions. Premier League champions Chelsea have completed the £60 million signing of striker Alvaro Morata for Real Madrid on a 5-year deal. The Spain international scored 20 goals last season after rejoining Real from Italian champions Juventus. Morata won Spanish La Liga and the UEFA Champions League, but the majority of his appearances were as a substitute. The 24-year-old will now join up with the Blues squad on their pre-season tour of Asia. Leicester City has rejected a bid from Roma for winger Riyad Mahrez. The 26-year-old, who joined the Foxes from the French club in 2014, announced in May that he wanted to leave the club. Mahrez, PFA Player of the Year in 2016, has reportedly been valued at £50 million. Manager Craig Shakespeare had said there will be no bids for the Algeria international. And that's it on News Track. Thanks a lot for staying with us. I'm Ijoma Onyato.
Excuse me, this is my studio.
No, it's the other studio.
This is my desk.
No, it's the other desk.
But these are my scripts.
No, this is the other script.
Isn't this the news?
It's the other news.
So where do I go? Oh, the other building.
Your mind did it. Yes, you're welcome.
The eyes of it.
Some people see it as a right. Some say it's a monumental waste of resources.
The constituency allowance is the backroom of corruption in the house.
In the absence of transparency and accountability, someone needs to beam the light and tell the story. Tracker Plus explores and dissects constituency projects with facts and figures. Only on Channels TV.
It's a passion-driven world. It's action-packed. There's never a dull moment.
It's one of the biggest shots of the season so far.
You want to catch up with the ever-busy world of sports? Then walk with us on Channel Sports. Channel Sports, defining the moments of true sports.
Health Matters, a program that keeps you in touch with your body, keeps you in the know of new discoveries, and empowers you to make informed decisions about your health. Watch Health Matters at 12:30 p.m. every Saturday, because you deserve to know.
Hello everyone, welcome to another evening of frank discussions here on Hard Copy. I'm Maokbe Ogun. My guest tonight is the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, a senior advocate of Nigeria, who has been vocal most recently, especially with issues concerning the 2017 budget. In the first episode of this two-part interview, I take him up on the politics of the 2017 budget, to which he replies that his complaints have not been about politics, but development. Babatunde Fashola, SAN, you're welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you for having me.
Well, now you're Minister of Power, Works and Housing, and you've been there for roughly about 18 months, thereabout. And for some people, they have always wondered why there's three ministries together. Now, as minister, do you see the connection between these three ministries, or do you think they would have better existed by themselves?
Well, I think the best person to answer why the three ministries together is the person who took the decision, and that's Mr. President. But by way of a very simpler response to you is, first of all, these are the ministries that respond to a significant chunk of our infrastructure needs. And in my view, they are better together because of the interface that is necessary between ministries, departments, and agencies of government. So if you make them 3, which is always the prerogative of any government, it means that where you need a road to a power plant, you have to cross to the next door. And where you need a power supply facility to a housing estate, it means that you have to cross to the next door. There's some inherent efficiency in keeping all of that together. Even at this moment that we are one ministry, there's still a lot of team building and welding together that is going on. More importantly is the fact that in this same country, we complained about the cost of running government. And so traditionally, these 3 ministries used to have at least 3 ministers, and in some cases, ministers of state. So they had the potential to be 6 ministers there and 3 PAMSECs. It's now being run by 2 of us, myself and a minister of state, and we are collecting 1 minister's salary. We're not getting paid for 3 ministers.
Well, I guess
so there are cost elements there as well.
I guess the common years in terms of, deliverance on the, the purposes of these ministries, power, works and housing, will be clear to Nigerians. I mean, they will be the ultimate judge as to whether or not it's been efficiently tied together to deliver that service which they need. But let's get started on politics. Only recently, you got embroiled in some controversy with lawmakers over the budget, 2017 budget more precisely. You said that you have nothing personal against the lawmakers, and some of them are your personal friends. However, you've taken your disagreement with them to the public domain. Why have you done this?
I don't think that it is accurate to say I took my disagreement to the public domain. I think that the matter has always been in the public space. These disagreements have been there since 1999 about how best to fashion and implement a budget for Nigeria. Also, as you alluded to the possible results that can come out of the management of the ministries, is to also point out that there is nothing that is really standing in our way in terms of how to build roads. We've been building roads before. We just need to budget properly for them, and we just need to pay the contractors. And ditto for housing, and significantly the transmission side of power that government is largely responsible for. That said, I think that this matter has been in the public space, and there is the right to express an opinion, even if I wasn't minister. And an opinion that disagrees with something that has been done for 17 years that is not producing the kind of results that I think I would like to see is not something that should become irritable to anybody.
But you say that, it's your prerogative to make those complaints. Yes. But then when people talk about executive-legislative face-off, especially within a party that is majorly in power in both the executive and the legislature, then they begin to ask questions as to whether or not they're on the same page in terms of the, the dividends of democracy that they have promised the people.
I think that you perhaps missed the point here in the sense that the budgeting system is a bipartisan system on the National Assembly side. So it is more than something that affects only the party in power. It affects also the party in opposition. And this is not a political matter, because you started by saying let's talk politics. This is not a political matter. This is a developmental matter. It's a developmental matter.
It depends on how you say it, because the senators are definitely very displeased. Well, members of the National Assembly are very displeased. They say that you're inciting their constituents against them. That's the accusation.
I haven't heard that.
Well, I would read out, part of it, part of the statement of the Senate to you. They don't have that here, but the House of Representatives' response has that you're inciting their constituents against them.
I didn't incite anybody.
Now, they said that you're dispensing half-truths. That's what the senator said. And that you're trying to incite the public against them. They say you want to keep awarding contracts and that you're deceiving Nigerians when you say, for instance, that the Lagos-Ibadan road will be finished by 2019, as the projects cannot be completed even with an average of 30 billion naira per annum allocated to it.
I have said, if that is the response that you refer to, I have said all that needs to be said on that matter, and I have nothing more to say.
Now, what have you said? Because
I have said what I need to say. I issued a statement, and that is all I have to say on the matter.
Well, I think that we should also, ask you, because the accusations that they make against you are grave. For a lot of Nigerians,
I have responded to those accusations. I have nothing more to say on that matter.
Perhaps so, but then let us look at the question of PPPs. We do know that the federal government was saying that they were going to look at public-private partnerships when, this government came to power. They realized that, a huge part of the work that had to be done will be done with public finance. Yet, we haven't heard that there has been any partnership on any major road between the federal government and the Ministry of, and the private sector, if I may say.
I think that there is perhaps some misunderstanding about the possibilities that exist in the private sector with regard to infrastructure financing. And having been involved at some level with these things, they take time. And a government that has a 4-year mandate doesn't have that kind of time. Some of the, I can't think of any infrastructure financing readily to my mind now that we have done in this country that hasn't ended up in court. That's not a very good investment climate for as incentives to investors. And when you look at an economy that is also in recession, you have banks with challenges. So the question to them is, where's this money coming from? Because we all talk PPP. I mean, why would anybody bring money? It stands logic and common sense upside down. I've told you earlier that the big challenge of funding infrastructure is financing. So why should anybody bring money and then we will be resisting it? But people assume that money just walks in. It doesn't just walk in. And the experience that I can share with you is the road, in terms of road concession, the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway. The concession agreement was signed in 2005. Funding didn't come until 2010. So if any government was waiting, that government's tenure has finished. And the position that I have advised government in a memo to council is continue to do what you can do with your own taxes, with your own funding. There is no time at which you are prohibited from entering into a concession agreement. In any event, whatever you do today out of that infrastructure and you complete is already taking off the total cost, and the cost is controlled. If you leave it till tomorrow, the cost may go up. And it gives you leverage that, look, I have done 5%, so I have equity of 5% and so on. But you can't fold your hands and say, let's just go and look for PPP. The public we serve don't care really how you finance. They just want to see a road, and they don't want to hear that you are still negotiating.
If that is the case, I mean, you have said that you're not speaking on a statement that you already released on this, but for the benefit of our viewers, because the majority of them might not have seen that statement, and they'll definitely be very interested in what your response will be to some of this, because it would seem that from what you've said, you're actually shying away from these PPPs. You doubt very strongly that this private financiers or these private consortiums might actually have the means to be able to fully fund a project.
No, I think they should bring the money if they have it. I'm not shying away. If you bring the money, we will deal with it. But you see, again, the fact that you have a PPP doesn't mean that you shouldn't budget. And I think this is where some of the misconceptions lie.
The Senate says that they have only provided what they think the federal government will be needing, considering that the private sector, private financiers said that they're also going to be bringing something to the table as well, and they've brought to the table what they think that the federal government will need.
I have said that I have spoken the most that I need to in terms of the specific issues. The only thing I would say is that when you budget for an asset, you must show how you acquired that asset. because there's a time when you have to pay back for the asset. And if it's not in your budget books how it came in, it will be difficult to justify basis for payment. That is why even in your borrowing, even if the asset is coming from private, it must reflect somewhere where the money came in. Because the budget is just an approval of an estimate of how much will be spent. It is not cash. The cash side of the budget is a different matter entirely. And that is why there's a revenue side that also speaks to proceeds from oil, proceeds from taxes, and the gap and the deficit that is then accounted for by borrowing. And also the part of that deficit that will be funded by investment that is coming from outside. And that is my understanding of how a budget should be.
In this regard, then, it doesn't look like your party is bringing much change to the table if you say that this has been what is obtainable in the past 17 years. In terms of the disagreements between the executive and the legislature over the budget has been, obtainable in the last 17 years.
My party hasn't been in government
and it doesn't
for
look like
years.
It's changing even with
my
your
party hasn't been in government for 17 years.
Very well
So let's just be very clear about that. And change is a process that takes time, because when people have been accustomed to a certain way of life habits, all of us are creatures of habits largely, and it takes some time to yield our positions, because in the positions that we have acquired, we've acquired a vested interest in an existing order, even if it doesn't give us the best. So the adventure, some people will still not text on a telephone today because they are just not used to it. The telephones they knew was just to talk. So you need to ease them through a process where they begin to engage those kind of things. So change is not an event, it's a process, it's a trend. So, and I think that the more we discuss how best to develop Nigeria, is part of that process.
Do you think anything is going to change? I mean, because right now, the Senate is saying that they're about to put in jeopardy, let me see if I can quote very clearly what it was that they said, that you're about to put very in jeopardy. The private finance initiative does not materialize to provide...
As I announced them this morning, if I can please ask you to stand up for us very quickly as we announce your name, because you're important to us and we want to recognize you accordingly. May I begin first and foremost, please, with the Honorable Tunji Bello, who's a...
However, with all this blackmail game and backbiting going on, they're already laying the foundation for the failure of the agreement with the executive. That's from a statement of the Senate.
I have said all that I need to say about this matter.
Is it settled then? It's settled. I mean, whatever disagreement you had with the Senate.
I don't have responsibility for preparing the budget. I have responsibility for making an input into preparing the federal budget. The office managing and coordinating the budget is the Office of the Minister for Budget and Planning. So he will best know whether these matters have been settled.
We'll take a moment now and turn our attention to the past when we return from this break. Please stay with us.
How much do you know about the environment? What are you doing to protect the environment? Indeed, what are the around you doing to save our environment? Join us on Echoed Africa only at this time.
It's a passion-driven world. It's action-packed. There's never a dull moment.
It's one of the biggest shocks of the season so far.
You want to catch up with the ever-busy world of sports? Then walk with us on Channel Sports. Channel Sports, defining the moments of true sports.
Welcome back. On the 13th of this month, Mr. Babatunde Fashola delivered a lecture on the challenges of power and the way forward at the University of Lagos. A paragraph in his speech suggested that he could be making a U-turn in his earlier remarks that the privatization process as done in the power sector be respected. When I asked him if he was suggesting that the privatization process be revisited, he said, "I don't know what the term revisit means." You were recently at the University of Lagos where you spoke on challenges confronting the power sector and the way forward. Now, a number of issues were raised, which include the privatization process. You said, "While I fully support privatization, I believe what took place in 2013 and in the heat of politics was a privatization that was well-intentioned since 2005, but delivered with some deception in 2013 with the expectation of political profit." Now, a number of people have interpreted this to mean that you are looking back on your earlier words that we should respect the process of the privatization that happened. Is that right?
Well, what I've said is very simple. It's very simple English. I am addressing the circumstance in which the challenges and expectations of Nigerians haven't been met. And that's very simple, that's very clear. If you ask people on the street at the time, their reasonable expectation, once privatization happened, the problem was solved. And I was a voice of reason and a voice of restraint and a voice of advice at the time to say, look, the expectation of people is different from what is going to happen. There's a lot of work to be done.
As I announced them this morning, if I can please ask you to stand up for us very quickly as we support.
It wasn't going to,
despite the flawed privatization.
Please. Let me. The principle of privatization, I support.
The fire exit is over there to your right, and there's one more here to your left. Can I just impress upon everyone?
For 60 years, and the people of Nigeria have come to the conclusion that this thing is not working for us. Let private sector take it over. And as I've told everybody who cares to listen, of politics, and therefore enumeration of consumers, metering, and all of the liquidity issues that now beset the system. Was to make, cancel it with its consequences, re-engineer it, and make it better and able to deliver. I believe that we should
Some people believe.
I don't use nebulous words like revisit. What does it mean? I can tell you what the sector recovery program that besets the system. One of it is to guarantee payment to the gencos who generate power. So there's a payment assurance plan. One of it is to ensure that the institutions work. So we've constituted some of the boards. We haven't finished. These are all of the issues: governance, metering, financing, and all of that.
Financing
those are all the gaps in the system.
It's at the heart of this when
we
people
should stop toying with words here. And
let me explain.